over 55,000 reports of travel-related scams in the US in 2023, it's important to know what to look for when you are preparing for your vacation. With most of our trip planning and bookings taking place online these days, the hackers and scams have gotten much more sophisticated. Now, I want to reassure you that most vacations are the fun and successful experiences you want them to be. But today, I'm going to share with you 6 common travel scams no one else is talking about that you need to be on the watch for. Let's go. Scam number 1. Make sure it really is your hotel getting in touch with you. Because so many travelers are using online travel agencies like Expedia and Booking.com to find the best deals for their accommodations, they have become kind of weak spots that hackers are utilizing for their nefarious deeds. A trend that has been appearing lately is hackers are logging into these travel booking portals to request money from you, the traveler. They do it by infiltrating the IT systems of the actual hotels themselves, but because the message arrives through the online travel agency app, you are going to think that it's totally legit. Then when you go to check in, the clerk is going to have no record of any payment because it went straight to the hacker and you're going to have to pay all over again. So how do you make sure that this doesn't happen to you? When you make your reservation with the OTA or the online travel agency, make a note of the hotel's email address and their phone number. If you receive a message through the app regarding payment, reach out to the hotel directly, either via email or the phone, to ask for a secure link if you intend to pay them online. Or even better, just make the payment over the phone and make sure to request a receipt showing the transaction was made. I would also suggest here that you use a travel credit card when booking your reservations, as many of them have insurance available to cover situations like this. Scam number 2, avoid using a third-party website for obtaining visas or electronic travel authorizations. More and more countries are requiring travelers to apply for an electronic travel authorization prior to entering their country. The US has had one for quite a while, and I know many of you are aware of the one that the EU has had in works for many years and is supposed to be ready to go by next year in 2025. Some other popular destinations with ETAs are Canada, New Zealand, and Australia, who happens to be the first country to instate one. They're not typically very expensive, usually under $30 US, and the official websites for the ETAs are usually run by the government. But unscrupulous businesses saw an opportunity and they are offering to handle the ETA on behalf of the traveler, charging them an additional fee, which can cost way more than the actual government mandated fee. In one case, there is a company offering to process the Canadian ETA for $79. But if you got it directly through the Canadian government, it only costs $7. And these forms are not complicated forms. It's not like you're doing your taxes or anything. So if you do need to get an ETA or even an electronic visa for your international travel, do your due diligence and make sure you are applying with the government agency directly and you haven't accidentally stumbled onto a scammer's website, because they do a good job of making them look like the government ones. Scam number 3, avoid unlicensed taxi drivers. When you arrive at your foreign destination, jet lagged, dehydrated, and maybe just a little bit delirious, it can be really easy to fall victim to an unlicensed taxi driver who's going to take you on a much longer route to your accommodations and charge you well over the going rate. There are a few ways to avoid this scam. The first is what I do on almost all of my international travel, and that is to already have transportation booked with a shuttle or driver before I arrive. I find that not having to immediately deal with that stressful situation right after arriving is worth any additional money I may be paying, which really isn't usually that much more. The second way to avoid the scam is to check and see if there is an official taxi area at the airport that is being managed by airport staff. Make your way to that area and let them help you get an official taxi. And lastly, do your research before you leave home to find out what the going rate for taxis are at your destination, especially from the airport, and maybe have a map from the airport to your accommodations downloaded on your phone so you can call the driver out if they are taking you in a roundabout sort of way. As always, trust your gut before you get in a car with anyone. If something feels off, then head back inside the airport and look for an information kiosk so the employees can point you in the right direction and save you from the scam. Scam number 4, money changing errors. There are a few different ways you can get scammed when changing your money at your destination. The first is what they call a slow count. This is when the cashier will count out your change very slowly with weird pauses, hoping that you'll just take whatever they're holding out to you and leave the premises. Usually that amount is a lot less than what you should have received. When you get your change, thoroughly inspect it before leaving the premises. There are some places where certain coins look very similar, but one is worthless while the other is worth about $3. You might be tempted to exchange money with a street vendor or an airport vendor offering excellent conversion rates. However, these possible black market exchanges could have you leaving with fake money or a bunch of newspaper wedged between the actual money. If you are using cash a lot during your vacation, make sure that you have studied the local currency before you arrive and know what it is supposed to look like. Try to pay with smaller bills so you don't fall victim to giving someone a large bill and then having them turn around and tell you that, oh no, you actually gave them a smaller bill and you don't get the change that you are actually due. Always count your change carefully and only exchange money at authorized centers. I generally use the ATMs to get my cash when I'm abroad, and I also try to use my credit card as much as possible because the exchange rate is usually pretty good on my credit card, and I find when I'm spending stuff on my credit card, it's actually easier for me to keep track of my budget. Scam number 5, check the social media handles carefully. Over the past few years, as cancellations and seriously delayed flights and lost baggage are happening more and more frequently, it has become a pretty popular solution to go to social media to complain and vent about the experience, often tagging the airline in the post for the potential chance of maybe getting some compensation for the troubles you've been through. Well, the scammers have found this to be another way to take advantage of us travelers. If you get a response to your social media post purporting to be from the airline's customer service team, take a very, very close look at the account from which it originates. Scammers will trawl the internet looking for certain keywords in hopes of finding their next victim. They'll ask you to send a DM with your flight details and maybe even hand over personal information like bank accounts or credit card information. They'll pretend that they're going to rebook the ticket for you, but you're going to have to pay a rebooking fee or the fare difference for your replacement flight, when in reality, they are just pocketing that money and there is no new ticket for you. In addition to paying close attention to the account that the DM is sent from, see how old the account is. If it's pretty new, it's a good chance you've got a scammer in your DMs. Scam number 6, be on the lookout for fake police officers. This is one of the swindles you'll see mostly at popular tourist destinations. And because you are a tourist, you don't actually know what the local police uniforms look like. So when someone walks up to you looking all official, you're going to want to comply with what they ask. In this situation, they are typically approaching you to tell you there's been a problem with counterfeit bills in the area, and they're going to ask to check your wallet for any currency that isn't right, all under the pretense of protecting you. They will go through your wallet, then they're going to give it back to you saying everything looks fine, except now you're missing a few or perhaps even several bills. So how do you avoid this situation? First, don't voluntarily hand your wallet or passport over to anyone, ever, ever. Try to have a good idea of what the local law enforcement uniform looks like and ask for identification numbers and names. And if that doesn't work, lastly, ask for them to walk with you to the nearest police outpost so that you guys can find another officer who can corroborate the claims. This is a great video for you to watch next with more tips on traveling safely. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you have safe and wonderful travels.